This is just a goofy thing, and we talked this before. A rare Magic card graded sold to around a few days ago for $27,000.
An Alpha Black Lotus, right? Correct.
Which Alpha means the first ever release.
Yeah.
Was it 93? First Magic cards.
Probably.
And the Black Lotus is a powerful card, right? It's hard to find.
It's powerful. It was banned. You can't use
it.
It
was banned.
Can't use it. I don't know. I mean, I have to say a couple things about Magic first. I really like the basic idea of the game. It's a ton of fun to play. It's not nearly as hard to learn as people think it is. The artwork on the cards a lot of times is very gorgeous. But what kills me about it is it's a money sink. Even when you go into playing Magic and you say, I'm just going to play it casually, it still becomes a money sink. You still find a way to want more cards, build more decks, and to a degree, if you don't keep up on it, you can't play competitively. Now, so basically what I'm trying to say is I'm coming from a spot of actually really enjoying the game. I do think it's crazy that the card went for that much, but I don't...
Do you compare this to graded video games at all?
I don't. I compare it to graded sports cards, which is different.
Even though this is something you actually play.
You don't play alpha cards. They haven't. You're
saying if you bought this card, you couldn't even play it in any form.
Correct. Legally in a tournament, you cannot play this card in any form.
You can play with your friends.
You can, but there are people who play open rules, but even those people tend to not play some of these things. The way Magic works is in cycles. So yes, this card really has no value to a player. This is something that is for a sports card collector.
So what's the cultural value of this? Why did this go for so much money? It's not just rarity.
Well, it's one of the first cards that was banned in the game. It was one of the most powerful cards upon release. It was one of the most sought after, and it was notoriously limited. So I think that's the value. I mean, even going all the way back to when I was a teenager.
By the way, there was 1,100 printed according to this.
Okay. When I go back...
1,100. That's not a small amount for something like this.
It's not a large amount.
It's not a small amount for 27 grand. That's the point.
No, it's not, but a card is going to get destroyed a lot quicker.
Sure, but how many things still exist? I would still hundreds of these still exist, I would say. Easily.
I don't know about that.
You don't think so?
I don't.
There weren't children buying these in '93. These were high school kids. And
no, these were kids.
These weren't small kids.
I was buying Magic cards in 8th grade. No one.
That's not a kid. You're 14.
Yeah, but no one took care of this stuff.
You're 14 though.
No one took care of this stuff. They threw it in a box and let other stuff accumulate on top of it. So,
I'm not sure about that because I remember this card getting stolen when I was in high school. They knew this was a special card even back then. And I do remember we're talking, mid-90s, I do remember kids showing it and not putting it away, not playing it. I do remember that even back then. So I don't know. I would think that even back then they knew this was a special card. But that's besides the point. $27,000 for a graded 9.5 Black Lotus. I wanted to bring it up because to me it's like I compare it to... grading games. That what happens when grading something slips into your hobby, especially when it's a playable hobby. You may say this isn't playable. What if they start doing this with other cards? Then what does it become at that point? Does it change then when it's cards that say they're still played and now people are starting getting graded and maybe they don't want to play them? It's awkward carrying around graded stacks of hard cards. I
think Magic is unique in the fact that as of right now, if you're a player of any seriousness, the cards that you play with aren't being graded. You might be setting some aside, hedging your bets that in years it's going to be worth something. But I think you're looking at it wrong. It's not like grading a video game because the cards in Magic that are worth money are ones that you can't play anyway. So they basically turn into a sports card, which is something that you look at and you have because you want to have it.
Okay.
So much like a sports card, you can look at the front and you can look at the back and then you can put it on a wall, and if that's your thing, you like it. Would I ever want one? No, but I don't see it as any different. Just like you can't play a sports card, and you can still glean everything from a graded
You don't see it different than a sports card? Really?
I don't, because you bring up cultural significance. I realize to some people...
When a sports card's a representation of a figure that someone was actually playing sports and he was like a public figure. You don't see there's a difference between that versus a card that's part of a game set, basically.
No, because if I don't care about sports, then it's not culturally significant to me. If you don't care about Magic, I don't expect it to have any significance to you. And don't get me wrong, this doesn't have any significance to me, but I can understand why to some people this would be an interesting item to have. I'm not saying $27,000 is a reasonable price. I'm just saying I do understand why some people would want it.
No, I understand that too. I'm more talking about the price.
Well,
I'm talking about how does it get to that point?
The pricing on collectibles is just freaking insane. I mean, I don't know how it gets to that point because in the world of Magic, Black Lotus is the card that is spoken about the most.
It's a 9.5, which I guess is the highest graded one, and that means it's like centered better than. I guess on the alphas they weren't all centered correctly.
No, they were alpha prints. They were basically test runs of cards. So it's weird, but I really don't see it.
The artwork's not even good. It's just a fucking flower.
Like I said, I'm not trying to defend. Black Lotus
I'm being honest. I'm just saying, if it was like a cool piece of art, even I'd be like, okay, maybe, but it's not. It's just, it's a flower over. There's nice sunshine coming in, on a nice green hill. It's actually very peaceful. I'm gonna buy one. I'm gonna buy a low grade one for $100 and
put it with your MWCs that you play all the time.
There's a difference though. There's not 1,100 NWCs. There's 11. There's not 11. There's a slight difference.
Yeah, but those are more durable. See, what I'm saying is I really don't think there's probably that many in existence.
There's hundreds of these. There
20 years later,
there's hundreds.
I just don't think there is.